We have just taken off from Malakal, which is in the northern part of Sudan. It's in a region known as the Upper Nile region. Formerly, it was a part of northern Sudan because of its close proximity to the city of Khartoum. It's now in southern Sudan. We flew in here yesterday to meet our national partner, Dr. John Nyakaka. After we landed, we waited and waited, but John never arrived, and of course, that's not like him. We've been in partnership with Dr. John for a number of years, and we finally knew nothing else to do but find a hotel in town, and then began to look around. We went to hospitals, we went to the United Nations, thinking that there could have been an accident. We didn't know what, but we were finally able to make some contact with United Nations people. And beside me is Bert Lemkus. Along with us, of course, are Lynn and Ari Van Wingerden and Randy Durham on the video there. And Bert was one who talked to the United Nations officials that gave us a little light on why John did not meet us. So, Bert, tell us what you found out.
Well, we checked actually first inside the hospital of the United Nations, and well, there was no John. And then we got talking a little bit more with the guy, and we mentioned that we came out of Ethiopia, and he said, well, I'm an Ethiopian. And turned out that he knew actually Genesis Farms and Salam Orphanage and Bahailu. So we got a little bit further talking with him, and he explained to us that Friday night, so this past Friday, day and a half ago, there had been armed problems about an hour southeast of Malakal, where the Shuluk Kingdom has its headquarters. And we knew that John had been trying to arrange a meeting with the king for the last 3 weeks. And all the traffic from that area is stopped. According to the United Nations report that we just briefly got to see, they estimated 42 people killed in the accident and portrayed it as a tribal conflict between the Shuluk and the Dinkas, and are right now on, concerned about retaliation from the Dinkas. So all the traffic is stopped. The traffic with the barges on the Nile is stopped. So there was no way for us to get a hold of John or, in any other way make contact with him. So that's the reason we left, and we hope and pray that he is safe and that we will be able to communicate with him later by email or telephone.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we depend so desperately upon the prayers of partners like you all, because when we come into areas, not all areas we go into are this volatile, but there's supposed to be a referendum in 2011 that will be the deciding over whether or not there will basically be a division between the North and the South, and the South will secede and become the new Sudan. So this has been a very volatile area for all of the years that we have been working here after almost 3 decades of warfare. But this is the kind of place that you need to be trying to make a difference, and we count on your prayers when we're in places like this. And as Bert has said, at this point we don't know if John was caught in the conflict or if he was just cut off due to the tribal fighting that's taking place. We'll be giving you reports later on as we find out, but we're now beginning to fly back south. We will make our way down to Akkot, where we will probably spend the night. We're looking at a new possible project there with a hospital, and then on down to Kenya, where we will stop off and visit our partner Stockel Urinimo there at the sports camp. But thanks so much for your prayers. And Bert, just give a little bit of overview from your perspective on why Malakal is a significant and a volatile place.
Well, it is significant because our partner is actually from that area, and what we have found that it is essential to have somebody local that knows what is going on in the area, and also to help us secure land. Obviously, Sudan has millions of hectares of acres of very fertile land that could produce an incredible amount of food for Sudan and for countries surrounding it. And what we're trying to do is get just a small project going, maybe 40, 50 acres of vegetables to supply Malakal with vegetables, because any vegetables that are used in Sudan, also in Juba, most of that comes in from Uganda at very high cost and loss of quality with the transportation. So we look at it as a great potential to help the people get better food, create jobs, and show how Sudan can also in agriculture, it can be self-sufficient.
And our AIM air pilot was just telling us that this was one of the areas that caused the warfare to begin. As we were flying over the Nile, he pointed out a particular canal and said that was one of the reasons. Tell them a little bit about that, Bert.
Well, there's what they call the Young Lai Canal Project, which is cutting short a piece of the Nile, increasing the flow rate and reducing a large area of swamp, draining that basically. Egypt specifically has a vested interest in getting more water. Because of the swamps, a lot of the water evaporates and never reaches Egypt, and of course it's a lifeline for Egypt also.
Well, just before we left Malakal this morning, we were looking for John, knowing he's obviously a strong believer and sort of a pastor farmer. We went by to visit a couple of the churches to see if by any chance they knew his whereabouts, and it was encouraging to see a church of packed at least 1,000 people in one, and right nearby another church that was for the Dinkas. So the body of Christ is thriving there, but it also is one of the divided cities between north and south, between Muslims and Christians. So it's an area that is very strategic for us to be involved. So again, thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your partnership that make it possible for us to be in places like this. And we'll give you another update later on. So God bless you from somewhere between Malakal and Akkad in Sudan.